Welcome back to part 2. Last time, I told you about my two dads. This time, I'm going to tell you about the summer my rich dad taught me the most important money lesson of my life. It started with jealousy. I was 9, and a classmate showed up bragging about his family's beach house. He told me and my friend Mike we weren't invited because we were poor. That stung. So I went home and asked my dad the only question that mattered to a 9-year-old. How do I get rich? My dad just said, "Use your head, son," which really meant, I don't know. So I turned to my best friend Mike, and we decided to become business partners. Our first idea? We'd collect old toothpaste tubes from the neighbors, melt them down, and pour the metal into coin-shaped molds. We were 9 years old, and we were literally casting our own nickels. In our minds, we were about to become rich. My dad walked up, looked at our little factory, and gently explained a word we'd never heard before: counterfeiting. Our business was over before it started. But my dad said something I never forgot. "You're only poor if you give up." Then he told me something that changed everything. He said if I really wanted to learn how to make money, I shouldn't ask him. I should ask Mike's dad. Mike's dad owned warehouses, stores, restaurants, a small empire. My dad said he was brilliant with money, even though his house was small and simple. So Mike and I went to see him. And he made us an offer on the spot. Work for me and I'll teach you. Don't work for me and I won't. He gave us 10 seconds to decide. No questions, take it or leave it. That was our first real lesson, and we hadn't even started working yet. We took the deal. 10 cents an hour, 3 hours every Saturday, dusting cans on a shelf in his little grocery store. It was boring. It was exhausting. And after 3 weeks, 30 cents a week wasn't cutting it. I was ready to quit. So I marched back to Mike's dad, ready to demand a raise or walk. And he made me wait. 45 minutes in silence in his living room. When he finally called me in, I let it all out. I told him he wasn't keeping his promise, that he hadn't taught me anything, that he was cheap. And he just leaned back and smiled. He said, "Not bad, you sound just like most of my employees." Then he told me something I didn't understand at the time. The 10 cents an hour was never about the money. It was the lesson. He said most people spend their whole lives blaming their job, their boss, or their paycheck, instead of looking at their own thinking. He tapped me on the head and said, "The answer isn't out there. It's in here." Then came the real twist. He told me to keep working the same 3 hours every Saturday, but this time for free. I was furious. I thought it was the worst deal I'd ever heard. But I stayed. And 3 weeks later, he came back with a new lesson. He bought us both ice cream, walked us to a park bench, and asked one simple question. Would 25 cents an hour make your heart beat faster? Then he raised it. $1 an hour. Then $2. In 1956, that was an enormous amount of money for a kid. Then he offered $5 an hour. And something strange happened. Instead of getting more excited, I went completely quiet. He smiled and said, "Good. Most people have a price. And it's because of 2 emotions, fear and greed. Fear gets you out of bed for a job. Greed convinces you to spend the paycheck the second it arrives." He called this the rat race. He compared it to a donkey chasing a carrot tied to a stick. The donkey never catches it. It just keeps walking, forever. That's what happens to most people with money. They think the next raise, the next paycheck, will finally be enough. It never is. He told us the real trap isn't a lack of money. It's fear and ignorance working together, quietly controlling how people think. The way out, he said, wasn't more money. It was learning to observe your own emotions instead of just reacting to them. That single conversation on a park bench taught me more than any classroom ever had. And the lessons kept coming. A few weeks later, I noticed something at the store. Mrs. Martin, who ran the shop, was tearing the covers off unsold comic books to send back for credit. She was going to throw away hundreds of perfectly good comic books. So Mike and I asked if we could have them instead.
We turned Mike's basement into a comic book library. We hired his little sister to run it and charged neighborhood kids 10 cents to read for 2 hours. That tiny library brought in almost $10 a week, without us even being there most of the time. Our money was finally working for us. And that was the whole point of everything Mike's dad had been teaching us. He wasn't trying to make us rich. He was trying to make us think differently. The poor and the middle class, he told us, work for money their whole lives. The rich learn how to make
money work for them. That one shift in thinking, from working for money to having money work for you, is the entire foundation of everything else in this story. That's lesson 1. This has been part 2 of the series. If you're learning something from this, hit like and subscribe. Part 3 drops in 3 days.